Good day, everyone. We are Group 2, and for today's session, we are assigned to tackle the topic mass media and globalization. Through worldwide news broadcasts, television programming, new technology, movies, and music, the mass media play a vital role in furthering globalization, facilitating cultural interchange and numerous flows of information and image across the countries. If most countries' mainstream media systems were relatively national in scope prior to the 1990s, much communication has been global since then. Media has become increasingly global, reaching consumers well beyond the borders of a single country. Since then, most information has been transmitted internationally. Global capitalism is expanding, new technologies are being produced, and global television is becoming more commercialized as a result of the regulation laws enacted by the various nations in Europe and the United States to facilitate the spread of cable and satellite channels. But before we further proceed to our discussion, let us first refresh your memory by briefly discussing the definition of mass media and its types. Media, in general, refers to a numerous modes of communication. Television, radio, and newspapers are all examples of diverse sorts of media. The phrase can also be used as a collective noun for news organizations or the press. Media is also used as a collective term in the computer sector, although it refers to several forms of storage possibilities. The term mass media refers to a wide range of media technologies that reach a large audience through mass communication. The technology used for this communication includes a range of channels. Broadcast media, which includes a cinema, radio recorded music, and a television transmits information electronically. Mainly, there are two types of mass media: the electronic media and the print media. Under print media, it includes the newspapers, magazines, and journals. And on the other hand, the electronic media, it includes the films, radio, televisions, and the new media. Theorists of globalization have investigated how the cultural aspect of globalization has significantly impacted the process of globalization as a whole. It is possible to relate to the development of technology in the 18th and the 19th century to the explosive growth of international communications in the 21st century. With the invention of the telegraph in 1837, Europe saw the beginning of postal services, international telephone and radio connections, and the foundation of the modern mass circulation press. Nevertheless, the development of technology enabling message transmission via electromagnetic waves marked a turning point in the communications development on a global scale. International news agencies like Reuters helped lay the foundation for the first stages of global coding system in the 18th century. However, the first geostationary communication satellites were not launched until the 1960s, making the globalization communication a relatively late occurrence in the 20th century.
In many aspects, the media sector is the ideal for globalization or the expansion of trades across the traditional political borders. As was we already mentioned, the low marginal cost of media translate into substantially higher profit margins for media enterprises when they reach a broader market. Shipping charges for information are typically negligible because it is not a tangible good. Finally, the media's international reach enables it to be pertinent in several nations. Some believe, however, that media is a partial cause of globalization rather than merely another worldwide enterprise. Media is essentially a cultural product and its transfer is likely to have an impact on the recipient's culture. Technology is increasingly accelerating globalization. Technology enables rapid communication, rapid and coordinated transportation, and effective mass marketing, all of which have enabled globalization, particularly globalized media, to take hold. Globalization and media creating the global village.
The term globalization refers to a collection of various and even occasionally converging historical processes in economics, politics, and culture that have come together with the development of media technology to produce the circumstances that now allow us to understand the world as imagined community. Reportedly, as according to Mark Lohan, the linking of electronic information would create an integrated worldwide community by removing geographical and temporal barriers to communication, enabling people to interact and exist on a global scale. The complexly linked electronic civilization that Mark Lohan predicted would arise is represented by Global Village of today. Additionally, it offers a framework for analyzing our current media interaction and most importantly, how to prepare for the future.
Dark contours of the global village.
Manfred Steger, a scholar, described a growing global imaginary in 2008, the world as an imagined community. In the past, only a select group of wealthy individuals considered themselves to be cosmopolitan, but is global citizen. Others, however, asserted that the advent of modernity during Enlightenment or the age of European exploration was related to globalization. The arrival of Columbus in America is frequently cited as globalization milestone. Others believe that the first Homo sapiens left their fellow Homo sapiens in African community and traveled in search of food, water, or adventure. Nobody could fool Louis Mumford. His icy and flashing view of human reality revealed the shadowy contours of global village. He observed how media technology was being utilized not to improve the world but rather to subjugate it in the name of profit, power, and property.
Cosmopolitanism.
What is cosmopolitanism? Cosmopolitanism is the belief that all people are members of a single society that is based on a common moral code. A cosmopolitan is a person who supports cosmopolitanism in any of its manifestations. In a cosmopolitan setting, people from various backgrounds have respectful interaction with one another.
Media and cultural globalization.
The West, especially the United States, is where the majority of the content in the globalized media is produced. Because of advertising, American culture and media have a strong consumerist bent, meaning that increasing product consumption is promoted as an economic virtue, possibly inciting the adoption of consumerist value in other nations. Therefore, media globalization may increase demand for American goods in addition to providing content to a foreign nation. This will contribute to a one-way transmission of ideas and values, resulting in the replacement of indigenous civilizations, according to others. A hotly debated topic in international communication theory and research is the role of mass media in cultural globalization. Early ideas of media influence, also referred to as the magic bullet or hypodermic needle hypothesis, posited that the media has a significant impact on considerable impact on audiences. Since then, the debate over media influence has ebbed and flowed, making it impossible for experts to come to any conclusions or reach an agreement on the degree, extent, and implication of media influence. However, the underlying theoretical frameworks of international communication maintain the conviction that media have a significant impact on cultures and communities. In parallel, a body of writing has grown that critiques the scope and magnitude of global media. Promotion of cultural experience and exchange. Essentially, it refers to the disappearance of borders. This form of evolution currently characterizes international relations. Different cultures will mix if there are no borders, and there will be no tolerance if there is no knowledge. The purpose of media in achieving this goal is to increase awareness of events and people in other nations so that, regardless of religion, skin color, or values, that the common human complexity can unite us and make globalization simpler.
Media and political globalization.
With the impact of globalization on world politics, some contend that the nation state is deteriorating in several ways. When boundaries and the movement of people grow, increasingly fluid in our globalized environment. The United Nations, enterprises, and foreign political actors like Greenpeace, according to critics, are becoming more powerful in our globalized world. We get a few crucial facets of contemporary life when we combine media, politics, and globalization. The dynamic and ever-evolving nature of the new media ecosystem has a significant impact on democratic politics and governance in a novel, frequently unexpected ways. Governmental agencies, political leaders' communications, campaigns, and citizen participation have all been significantly impacted by new media. In this chapter, a quick discussion of new media development will be followed by an emphasis on its impact and impact on political life.
The production, exchange, and the broadcast of the political information on platforms and through networks that encourage cooperation and engagement are made possible by new political media, which are media forms. Over the past 3 decades, they have advanced quickly and are still doing so in the novel, occasionally unexpected ways. The use of the new media has wide-ranging effects on political activity and democratic government. They have drastically altered how political leaders and government agencies interact. They have changed the political media landscape and expanded the function of the journalist. They have changed the rules for how people can run for office and engage in politics. Beyond worries about ownership concentration of analysis, international media and policy must be expanded. The regime model situates global media politics concerning normative factors that lead to media centralization at the center of the larger political struggle over media and democracy. How national and international political institutions are adapting to the resisting this normative order, and how citizenship identify models are changing demand for political information. Creating challenges, awareness, even quality news outlets looking for alternatives, how personal digital media technology supports civic involvement models such as campaigns against centralized global media and other neoliberal economic globalization trends.
Media and economic globalization. Although the term globalization is a term for a global economic movement typically refers to the lowering of trade barriers, it also has a lot to do with culture. The transfer of culture opens up these same markets, just as the transfer of industry and technology frequently promote external influence through the inflow of foreign capital into the economy. A particular community may grow to absorb and personalize American cultural ideas as globalization gains traction and it economically approaches that country more closely. Understanding that several different factors are at play will help when trying to make sense of this broad range of alternatives. Due to cultural differences, the globalization of media uses a different model than the globalization of other products. Most fundamentally, since a lot of media is based on language and culture, it frequently fails to adapt to different nations. Since this broader means of organizing and creating media are followed, media globalization frequently occurs at a more structural level. By doing this, a media corporation can maintain a corporate structure that is, from a business perspective, internationally oriented while having several culturally unique brands. The conditions for global capitalism are promoted by the media. They constantly invite us to consume their products through radio and television advertisements, product placements in movies, digital billboards, pop-up ads, and newspapers in restrooms. The development of economic globalization in our era has depended heavily on the media. According to this viewpoint, economic globalization involves more than just money and numbers. It also includes myths and stories that normalize the buying and selling of goods across national boundaries. Vertical integration and globalization. Vertical integration in multinational media firms becomes a vital component of understanding globalized media since globalization affects the corporate structures of media companies just as much as the products that a media company creates. Vertical integration is a strategy used by many sizable media companies. For example, newspaper chains handles their reporting, printing, and distribution. Television networks oversee their production and broadcasting, and even small film studio frequently have parent companies that handle international distribution. Globalization and vertical integration are frequently very advantageous to media companies. Media outlets can use many of the same distribution structures with few changes because of the spread of American culture worldwide. A vertically integrated corporation can do all of this in a worldwide rather than a localized market since media rely on the quick capacity to react to current events and trends. Different branches of the company are easily able to manage diverse markets. Vertical integration enables, for example, a single film studio to create higher budget films that it might otherwise be able to create without the help of a distribution company with a global reach because production values for single country distribution are essentially the same as those for multiple countries.
It's good to know that all of you stayed with us until the end of our discussion. Hence, here are some key takeaways for you to remember. First, a globalized market is immensely aided by the technology speeding mass marketing, mass transportation, and communication capabilities. Second, mass media economies of scale use technology to instantaneously offer information over a worldwide market at considerably higher profit margins. And lastly, due to the economies of scale that they bring to the media enterprises, foreign markets have excellent profit potential. The long-term growth of business global customer base may be aided by the inclusion of additional consumer markets and audiences.